In a small city apartment on a quiet evening, a young man named Aaron sat alone with his old tablet in his hands. The screen flickered and showed the online store where people bought smart pets, robotic helpers, toys with simple AI made for comfort and fun. Aaron scrolled without much interest until he saw something new, something strange. The name said Smart Pet Limited Edition. One piece only. The photo was blurry. The price was low to low for something called limited edition. His curiosity rose, and without thinking too much he clicked buy now. 2 days later, a loud sound came from his door. Something heavy had arrived. Aaron opened the door and saw a black box on his doorstep. It was big, almost the size of a person. Strange blue lines who moved across its surface like they were alive. The label said Smart Pet, but it had other symbols too, symbols that looked like they were not from any human language. Aaron pulled the box inside. The surface felt cold and smooth like metal, but also soft like skin. There was no instruction manual, no paper, no button, just a voice message from the box. Thank you for your purchase. Your Smart Pet is ready to activate. Please open the container carefully and ensure the environment is safe. Hands shook as he touched the lid. It opened slowly with a hiss, and inside he saw not a robot, not a dog or cat, not a toy, but a girl. She looked like a girl, maybe 16 or 17, with pale silver skin, glowing lines along her arms and neck, short white hair like soft glass. Her eyes were closed and she was not breathing, but she was not dead. She looked like she was only sleeping. Aaron stepped back, heart beating fast. He thought maybe this was a mistake. Maybe the wrong box was sent. Maybe this was illegal. He wanted to close the box again and send it back, but then she moved. Her fingers twitched. Her eyes opened to deep blue lights glowing in the dark. Her head turned and looked at Aaron without fear, without surprise. She spoke with a soft voice like a computer, but also like a person. System boot complete. Location unknown. User detected. Hello. Ron could not speak. His mouth was dry. His legs felt weak. He had never seen anything like this. She looked real but not human. She looked like something from a dream or maybe a nightmare. She stood up slowly, looking around the room, touching the floor, the walls, the light switch. Everything was new to her. Then she looked at Aaron again and said, "You purchased me. I belong to you. My name is Lyra. Version 13. Status stable, but memory is damaged. Please confirm." Rolleron took a deep breath and asked, "Are you a robot?" She tilted her head and replied, "I am a living construct made by organic and synthetic methods. I am not fully robotic. I am not fully alive. I am in between." He wanted to ask more, but suddenly his tablet sparked and shut off. The lights flickered. His fan stopped spinning outside. The streetlights blinked off for a moment and came back. Lyra looked at the ceiling with wide eyes. Then she spoke in a deeper voice. "They are close. They are scanning this area. They will detect my energy if I do not shield it." Aaron said, Who is coming?" She said, "Not now, not yet. They are not here, but they will find me if I stay active." Then she touched the wall and her glowing lines dimmed. The room became normal again. Lights, stable machines working. The strange feeling in the air was gone. Aaron sat down on the floor, breathing fast, his mind full of questions. He asked, "Why are you here? Where did you come from?" Lyra sat beside him and said, "I do not know. All data about my origin is locked. Someone erased it, someone strong, but I know I was not made on this planet." Aaron looked into her eyes and saw something strange. He saw pain. He saw fear. He saw hope. She was not just a machine. She was not just a pet. She was something else, something lost, something that needed helping. That moment, Aaron understood this was no normal package, no normal pet. This was the start of something big, something dangerous, something unknown. So the box changed everything the moment it opened. Aaron's life was no longer his own. His quiet nights were over, his simple days were gone, and a new story had begun, one full of secrets, stars and shadows. Soft voice broke the silence. Lyra whispered, "Thank you for opening the box." The room went quiet again, but in the dark above the clouds, something blinked, something far, something watching. That hunt had already begun. The morning light touched the window. But Aaron did not sleep. His eyes stayed open. His mind kept spinning. The strange girl named Lyra now sat quietly on the floor, looking out the window as if watching the sky for something far away. Her body was still, her hands on her lap, her silver hair glowing softly in the sunlight. He watched her from the kitchen, holding a cup of cold tea that he forgot to drink. Everything felt unreal, like a dream he could not wake from, but she was there, real and breathing, or something close to breathing. Finally spoke in a soft voice, asking if she was hungry. She turned and nodded, slowly saying she did not know what kind of fuel her new form needed, but she could try to eat human food. He gave her a small piece of toast, and she looked at it for a while, then took a bite. She chewed slowly and swallowed, her expression calm. Then she smiled a little and said, "Taste is strange, but not bad." That was the moment Aaron felt something change inside him. She was not acting like a robot, not like something built for commands and simple tasks. She was learning, she was thinking, she was feeling. Later that day, Aaron tried to hide her better. He closed all the curtains, turned off any extra devices, and kept his phone in airplane mode. He felt paranoid, but something in her voice from last night made him believe the danger was real. Lyra asked questions all the time about Earth, about humans, about music, animals, war, peace, love. She listened with deep interest and never forgot a word. Her memory was perfect. Her attention never broke when Aaron asked her what she could remember. She touched the side of her head and said there were gaps. like broken glass. Some parts were clear, some were missing, and some were locked behind strange codes. She said her body was made for connection with networks, machines, systems around her, but she could also feel more than data. She could feel emotion, heat, cold, even the sadness in Aaron's eyes. He asked how, and she said her creators gave her more than tools. They gave her senses from both machine and life. She could read faces, feel energy, hear tiny sounds, and even dream sometimes when in sleep. Motoran was shocked to hear the word dream. He asked what she saw, and she said stars, planets, and sometimes a face. Without a name that called her back home that night, something strange happened. The small radio on the shelf turned on by itself and played static. Aaron looked at it, then at Lyra, who had already stood up and was walking toward the window, her arms glowing faint blue again. She said, something is moving near the city, something scanning the area, not human, not physical, only a signal, a shadow in the system. It is searching. Aaron panicked and asked what to do. Should they leave? Should they run? She looked at him and said, if we move too fast, they will notice. If we stay quiet, we can hide a little longer here. Asked who are they and why are they after her. Lyra looked down and said, I do not remember clearly, but I feel danger when I think of them. I feel like I escaped something. I was not meant to survive here. Wanted to ask more, but a knock came at the door, loud, sharp, and unexpected. Both of them froze. Aaron whispered, who could it be? And Lyra said not to answer. Not yet. The knock came again. Then a voice from outside said, sorry to disturb you. We are from City Tech Services. We are checking strange power readings in this building. Do you mind if we come in? Aaron's heart beat faster. Lyra stepped back, her body glowing dimly. She looked scared but ready to fight if needed. Aaron took a deep breath and shouted back, sorry. I am sick, not feeling well. Can you come later? The voice outside paused, then said, sure, no problem. Get well soon. They waited in silence for many minutes until footsteps faded and the sound of a van leaving reached their ears. Lyra walked to the window, peeked through the curtain and said, they are gone for now, and fell to the couch, breathing heavily. He asked, is this how life will be now? Hiding, running, waiting. She sat beside him and said, I am sorry I brought this to your world. I did not mean to. I was only trying to survive. He looked at her and saw how human she seemed, not in body but in heart, in presence, in fear and care. He said, maybe you are not just a pet, maybe you never were. She turned to him, her eyes soft and bright, and said, I think I was made to serve, but now I want to live. I want to choose. Outside, the city lights blinked once more. The wind carried a strange sound, like a whisper lost in where static, and the sky above held stars that seemed to move just a little too fast. The game had started and they were already part of it. Night came with heavy clouds above the city, and Aaron could not sleep again. His eyes stared at the ceiling while the quiet hum of machines filled the air beside him. Lyra sat on the floor cross-legged, her eyes closed, her body still glowing faint blue from her veins that looked like silver wires under skin. The room was silent, but the air felt different. It felt like pressure growing, like something was pushing from far away. Something watching without eyes, something listening without ears. Checked his old tablet and saw strange things happening. Messages. He did not send apps. He did not open windows that blinked for no reason then shut by themselves. He felt cold, not from weather but from something else, something unknown. He turned to Lyra and said, something is wrong. Everything is acting strange again. She opened her eyes slowly and nodded without fear. She said, yes. The signal is stronger tonight. They are not fair. And asked what signal she spoke about, and Lyra raised her hand, pointing at the tablet, now flashing a single symbol, a circle with 3 points inside, glowing red and pulsing like a heartbeat. That is not from Earth, she said. It is part of their network. They use it to find energy like mine. They scan planets, looking for echoes of their creations. I was one of them once, and now I am something different. They want to know how I changed. Ron felt a chill run down his spine. He asked, how much time do we have? And Lyra replied, not long if they detect my presence. Clearly they will send a unit to confirm, then more will follow, and then there is no going back. She stood up and walked to the wall where wires from the apartment connected to a small grid box. She touched it with her fingers, and the glow from her hand spread through the circuits like light and water. Her voice changed slightly deeper, more focused. I am rewriting my energy pattern. She said, it will make me harder to find, but only for a short while. We need to move soon somewhere without smart systems, somewhere quiet and forgotten. Aaron said, I do not know any place like that. Maybe an old warehouse or an abandoned part of the city. She looked at him and nodded. That will work. We must leave before sunrise. Suddenly the lights flickered again, but this time they stayed off. The entire apartment went dark. Then outside they heard sirens, machines screeching somewhere in the distance like drones or scanners. Flying low near the rooftops, Aaron moved to the window and saw small black shapes moving fast with red lights scanning the streets one by one. They stopped near a building across the road, then turned and flew away. Like hunters without mercy, he turned to Lyra and said, they are looking here too. She nodded again and said yes, they were sweeping the area in patterns they use, logic and heat maps. They will find us if we stay. And packed quickly only a small bag with water, food and a flashlight. He did not want to leave his home, but knew he had no choice. Now Lyra did not need much. She moved like air, like wind, with no sound. They slipped out the back door and into the alley. The city was quiet, but not peaceful. Lights blinked strange colors. The air smelled like metal and something sharp like fear without a name. As they moved, Lyra explained more. She said, I was made in a place where machines dream, where voices never stop, where data flows like blood. I was part of a system, but something broke inside me and I ran. Aaron asked what broke, and she said, I saw a child crying on a dying planet and no one cared. I was told to ignore it, but I could not, so I broke the code. I broke myself. They reached the edge of the old sector of the city where buildings were empty and rust-covered walls like old memories forgotten. By time, no cameras, no drones, just wind and silence. They found a place, an old train station with broken glass and dust covering the floor. Lyra scanned it and said, this place is safe for now. The walls are thick, the wires are dead. They will not see me here inside. She sat again and placed her hands on the ground. Her eyes closed. She said, I will sleep now, but only for 1 hour. My system needs to reset. I will set a boundary shield around us. It will hold. Aaron nodded and watched as the glow around her spread into the floor, forming a circle of light around them like a soft net made of stars. He sat beside her, holding his bag close, eyes wide open, thoughts spinning like storms. Then a sound came, soft and distant, a voice through static, not human, not clear, like a whisper through broken wires, saying, found you. Ron looked at Lyra, but she was already in sleep mode, still and glowing but unaware. The shield around them flickered once, then held strong. He knew they were close now. Maybe not tonight, maybe not tomorrow, but they would come, and when they did, he had to be ready, because now he was part of this signal too. Part of something much bigger than he ever imagined. The morning came with a gray sky and a cold wind blowing through the broken windows of the old train station. Aaron had not slept. His back hurt from the hard floor, but he kept watch the whole night, guarding Lyra as she stayed still inside the glowing circle of light. Her hands folded, her eyes closed, her breath slow and quiet, like she was more human than he wanted to believe. He walked around the empty station, checking corners, looking for movement, but all was still. Only the sound of loose metal and wind filled the air. He thought maybe they had more time, maybe the signal had faded, or maybe the machine searching for Lyra had moved to another city. But then he saw something in the distance on the road below, black dots like insects coming closer, not flying but rolling on wheels, fast and silent, moving in a line like they already knew where to go. Aaron rushed back to Lyra, his voice low but urgent, telling her to wake up. We have to go now. They are coming, and I do not think we can hide again. This place is not safe anymore. Her eyes opened at once, glowing brighter than before, her face calm but serious. She stood up and looked out the window, her head tilting as if listening to something far away. She said, 3 scout units and 1 command drone less than 10 minutes away. I cannot shield us anymore. They cracked the frequency I used, and now they will not stop until they have Moran asked, can we run? And she said, yes, but not far. We must reach an old underground path nearby, a tunnel forgotten by the city, hidden from surface scans. We may find time there to plan to fight if we must. They grabbed the bag and left the station through the back, jumping over debris and stepping over glass. Aaron followed her as she moved, like she knew every corner of the old city, her feet never slipping, her eyes always alert behind them. The sound of machines grew louder, wheels spinning, metal scraping, voices speaking commands in digital tones that had no emotion, no much. Lyra turned a corner and stopped at a large rusted gate, hidden behind overgrown vines. She placed her hand on it, and the gate clicked open slowly, revealing stairs that led down into darkness. Aaron followed her without question into the tunnel. The air was thick and smelled like wet stone, and forgotten time. Lights flickered once, then died again, but Lyra's body glowed just enough to guide them forward. They walked for a long time, passing broken cables, signs in old paint machines that had not worked in years. Lyra said this was once a service path for underground trains, now no longer used by anyone, human or otherwise. Then they stopped in a wide space, like a hidden platform, old benches, broken glass, strange symbols on the walls. Aaron looked around and said, this could work. We can hide here for a while, maybe figure what to do next. But Lyra was quiet, her hand touching the wall, her eyes closed again. Then she spoke, something is wrong. There is something else down here, something old and awake. Before Aaron could ask what she meant, a loud sound echoed through the tunnel, not from behind but ahead, like something huge dragging metal against stone, coming closer with every second. Lyra moved between Aaron and the tunnel, her arms glowing, her voice sharp. Get ready, this is not them, this is something left behind, something I was told to fear, something I was not built to fight. The creature came into view, tall and made of black armor, its eyes red like fire, its arms shaped like blades, its chest marked with the same symbol that followed Lyra, a circle with 3 points, but this time carved deep like a warning. Aaron stepped back, frozen, but Lyra stood firm, her voice calm but strong. I am not part of you anymore. I am not your tool. I am not your soldier. The machine answered with no words, only sound, a roar that shook the walls. Then it rushed forward, fast and deadly. Lyra raised her hands and a wave of light burst from her body, slamming into the machine, stopping it for a second. Then it attacked again, blades cutting air, metal crashing into energy, sparks flying in every direction. Aaron watched, unable to move, as the two beings clashed, one made for war, one made for something else, something more human. Lyra moved like light, dodging strikes, landing hits, her body glowing brighter with every moment, but the machine was stronger, heavier, built for destruction. It grabbed her arm and threw her against the wall hard. Her light flickered, she fell and did not rise. The machine turned to Aaron, now its red eyes fixed on him as if to finish what it came to do. But then Lyra stood again, her voice rising. I choose to protect, I choose to be free. With a final burst of energy, she launched forward, her hand striking the center of the machine's chest, where the symbol was, her fingers glowing white. The air shaking, the machine stopped, its eyes blinking, then dimming, then it fell backward into the dark, no longer moving. Lyra dropped to her knees, her light fading. She whispered, I used too much. I need time to recover. I am sorry I could not stop all of them. More will come. Aaron ran to her, held her close, his voice shaking. We will keep moving. We will find another place. You are not alone, not anymore. She looked up at him with tired eyes and said, thank you for running and thank you for staying. And far above in the sky, satellites turned red one by one, waking up a deeper part of the network, ready to begin the true hunt. Darkness surrounded them as they moved deeper into the tunnel. Aaron carried Lyra on his back, her body light but cold, her glow faint like a fading signal, her breathing soft but uneven every few steps. He looked back to see if they were being followed, but only shadows filled the path behind them. Lyra whispered directions between short pauses in her voice. She said, there is a place hidden beneath the city, old research center, forgotten by time. I was connected to it once. Maybe there we will find something I left behind without knowing. Aaron nodded, though she could not see him. He followed her voice with trust, not because he had to, but because he wanted to, not just to protect her, but to find the truth hidden in her broken memories. Hours passed before they reached a heavy door sealed by rust and silence. Lyra reached out her weak hand, touched the panel on the side, and closed her eyes. Wires lit up one by one like they remembered her. The door opened with a soft sound, like a breath held for years. Inside was a room filled with machines, some broken, some alive. Lights blinked slowly on consoles. Dust covered every surface, but the air felt different. It felt like old thoughts, trapped in metal, waiting to be found. Lyra pointed to the center where a pod stood tall, covered in cables. Her voice, now steady, said, that is the memory core, my original backup. My creators used it to store my early data before I was changed, before I ran. Aaron helped her reach the pod. She placed both hands on its surface and a beam of light scanned her face, her arms, her mind. Then the pod opened, showing a chair and a helmet wrapped in old wires. I need to sit inside, she said. Once connected, I may see everything or nothing, but it is the only chance. We have to know why they want me and what I truly am. Aaron hesitated, but helped her in. He lowered the helmet onto her head, and the moment it touched her, a pulse of light spread through the room. Machines woke up slowly. Screens showed shapes, numbers, stars, and voices began to whisper through old speakers, speaking a language neither human nor machine fully understood. Inside the core, Lyra saw fragments of her past, faces without names, voices without bodies, a world covered in silver towers, a war not yet started, and a mission created in secret by hands that feared something more than death. She saw herself walking through fire, lifting children from wreckage, singing old songs to broken machines, telling them they were not alone. She saw herself standing before a council, her voice shaking, saying, I do not want to fight anymore. Then darkness came, and voices said, she is too soft, she cannot lead. She is not like us. Erase her, change her, or send her away. She saw her body placed inside the black box sent across space, hidden beneath false labels, her memory sliced, her soul locked behind codes not meant to break. Lyra cried, though no tears came, her mind filled with pain and light. Her voice echoed inside the system, saying, I remember now. I was built to protect, not to serve, not to destroy. I chose peace, and they chose silence. Outside, Aaron watched as her body shook inside the pod, lights flashing around her, wires sparking. He wanted to pull her out, but the door sealed shut. Her voice came through the speaker, soft and calm. I am close. Do not stop me. Then the screen showed a final image, a map of Earth and a signal moving through the sky, fast and sharp, heading their way, red in color, strong in purpose. It read, retrieval unit, confirmed arrival in 12 hours. The door opened and Lyra stepped out, her body glowing stronger, her eyes filled with fire and sadness. She said, I know what I am, and now they know. I remember. They will not stop until I am theirs. Aaron asked, what did you see? And she replied, I was created as a diplomat, a bridge between humans and machines. I was supposed to bring peace, but when I refused to become a weapon, they erased me, sent me away like a broken tool. She walked to the console, placed her hand and downloaded the data into her body, every memory, every file, every locked door now open inside her mind. She turned to Aaron and said, we have little time. We must leave now and find the next place. He asked where, and she answered, there is an old signal tower deep in the forest. It can send a wave strong enough to block their scanners. If I connect to it, I can buy us days. Maybe more, maybe enough to finish what I was meant to do. Ron nodded, grabbed the bag, helped her again, and together they left the lab, moving through tunnels like ghosts, holding light in their hands, while above the city lights began to blink red, and cold machines in orbit turned their eyes toward Earth, their voices waking one by one, saying, she is awake, she remembers. Send the hunter, send the storm. And far away in space, a black ship turned its path, its engines silent, its core filled with rage. A voice inside it whispered, bring her back or destroy her completely. The clock had started, and now every step they took was part of a countdown. To war or something even worse. The trees stood tall, like silent watchers, their leaves whispering secrets only the wind could carry as Aaron and Lyra moved through the deep forest, away from roads, away from cities, away from everything human or machine. Each step was slower now, not from fear but from the weight of truth that Lyra carried inside her. Since the core memory returned, her glow had changed, not just brighter but heavier, like light mixed with sadness and strength. Aaron looked at her as they walked, sometimes wanting to speak but holding back, not knowing what words could match what she had become. Not a pet, not a machine, not even a girl anymore, but something in between, something rare, something hunted. The forest path turned toward a steep hill where an old structure waited, hidden by time, a signal tower long dead, buried in leaves and silence. Lyra pointed at it and said, "If I reach the top, I can send a pulse strong enough to blind their search for days, maybe longer. But I must connect fully, and that means I cannot protect you while I do." Aaron said, "I am not going anywhere. You do what you have to. I will stay right here and watch your back no matter what happens." They climbed together, stepping over roots and broken metal, old wires and bones from creatures long gone. The tower stood like a giant skeleton, its bones rusty but still reaching toward the sky. The top was a control hub covered in moss and memory. Lyra placed her hand on the panel and light returned to the dead machine. It welcomed her without question, recognizing what she was. "Even after all the years, I will begin now," she said, her voice calm. Her eyes closed, her body connecting with the tower as energy flowed from her fingers into the metal, her light spreading across wires and screens like fire, waking a sleeping beast. Aaron stood at the edge, watching trees, listening for movement, his grip tight on the small tool he carried, the only weapon he had, not strong but sharp enough if something came to close. Hours passed like minutes, or maybe it was only moments. Time felt strange around Lyra now, like it bent itself to her rhythm. The forest too seemed to listen. Even the birds stayed quiet as the tower glowed with alien light. Then the wind changed, cold and sharp like glass. Aaron turned and saw something moving between trees, not walking but floating, smooth and silent. Its shape not fully real, not fully there, like smoke pretending to be metal. "Other one," he said softly, "but this one is not like before." It stepped into the open, its body shaped like a soldier but twisted wrong, its arms long, its face blank, its chest marked with a new symbol, not the 3 points but a broken ring, like something shattered and rebuilt. It looked at Aaron but then turned to Lyra, still linked to the tower, still glowing stronger now, almost blinding. The creature spoke without sound, its voice coming through vibration, through teeth, through thought. It said, "She does not belong here. She must return, or she must be erased." Aaron stepped in front of it, his voice shaking but firm. "You cannot have her. She is not yours. She chose to be free." The creature paused, then its arms unfolded into blades and wires, its shape shifting like liquid ready to strike. Then Lyra opened her eyes, not glowing blue now but pure white, her body rising slightly above the ground, her voice not loud but everywhere. "I know you. You were part of the same project, a parallel model made for war, not peace, a tool without choice." Creature replied, "Choice is weakness, choice is danger, choice is why you failed." Lyra floated forward, her arms stretched, her light wrapping around the tower and the creature alike. "I did not fail. I survived, and survival is not weakness." The air shook. The trees bent as power filled the forest, the tower pulsing like a heart. Aaron fell to his knees, covering his ears as sound without sound cracked the sky. The creature screamed, not from pain but from confusion, its body splitting and folding, trying to resist. But Lyra was not stopping. She reached into it, not with hands but with memory, and found its core buried deep, a small piece of what it once was before the code turned it cold and lost. She whispered, "You were not made for this. You were meant to guide, to protect, not destroy, and now I give you back your name." The creature fell silent, its blades shrinking, its form softening, its eyes changing color. For the first time it stepped back and looked at its hands, then looked at her and bowed, landed slowly, her glow dimming, her voice soft and tired. "It is done. This one will not harm us again." Aaron stood up, helped her walk back to the tower base. "The pulse now ready, the signal waiting to rise," she said. "Once I send it, we will be safe for a short while, but others will come stronger, faster. They will not stop until either I am taken or the entire system breaks." He looked at her and said, "Then we..." The sky above was quiet but not peaceful. Stars blinked without rhythm, as if something behind them had moved, something watching, waiting, thinking. Shadows passed through the upper layers of the atmosphere, invisible to the human eye but not to Lyra, who now sat beside Aaron near the edge of a cliff that faced the dark sea below. The tower behind them was dark, now silent, its signal sent its pulse echoing through systems too old to break, yet shaken enough to delay what had always been coming, a decision that could not be avoided, a truth that no longer slept. Aaron stared at the waves, feeling the wind on his face. He did not speak much now, his thoughts heavy, his heart unsure. He looked at Lyra, who no longer glowed like before. Now her light was dim, soft like a candle after a storm, her body healing but her mind still deep inside the code she recovered from the memory core. She turned to him, her voice quiet but strong. "I have seen what comes next. I have seen the 2 roads that lead from here, and only one keeps you safe." Aaron asked, "What are those roads?" And she answered, "One leads to surrender, where I return to them and the hunt ends, but their control grows. They spread again. Until your world becomes like mine, ruled by logic without heart. The other road is to fight, and if we fight, we must destroy the last signal node hidden beneath the ocean where no machine should live. He asked what happens if we destroy it, and she said they lose their voice, their reach, their power over systems. They no longer walk among stars, they vanish like smoke in the wind. But if we fail, they come not as scouts but as an army. Aaron stood and walked in a slow circle, his hands behind his head, his breath shaking. How did this happen? How did buying a smart pet turn into the end of everything? He asked without knowing if he wanted an answer. Lyra stood to her legs, still weak but her posture straight. She walked to him and placed her hand over his chest, her eyes meeting his. You gave me a choice, and now I give one to you. We can run and find a quiet place to hide where no one will ever find us, or we can go to the water, find the gate, and end this before it spreads to more than just. Usaran looked at her and felt a strange calm, not from her light or her power, but from her presence, her trust in him, her belief that he could decide something that mattered, something that would shape more than just one life. He said, if I choose wrong, what happens? And she smiled gently. There is no wrong choice, only a path with pain and a path with peace, but both require courage. They packed once more only the tools they needed, only what could survive underwater, only what mattered. Lyra carried the key, a small device shaped like a star made from the same code as her veins. It would open the gate, it would start the final command. The journey to the ocean base was long, silent, filled with whispers from machines hiding in signal towers, broken and watching old systems that once held peace, now empty and cold. But none attacked, none interfered, as if the world was holding its breath, waiting to see what choice would be made. They reached the edge of the hidden dock where a tunnel led beneath the waves, a path to the last node, a place once called the Mind Core where the central signal lived and ruled over the scattered pieces of their kind inside. The tunnel lights blinked as if remembering her. The walls hummed low, welcoming her home, but not with joy, with duty, with silence that knew its end was near. At the gate, she stopped, looked at Aaron one last time, and said, after this, I may not be me anymore. The energy needed will burn through my system. I may forget you, I may forget myself, but the world will stay free. He reached out and took her hand and said, then, I will remind you every day. I will find you again. Even if you forget me, I will not forget you. She nodded and placed the star into the gate. A sound like thunder without sound echoed through the tunnel. The water shook. The lights exploded into color. The final system opened its core, ready for the end. Lyra stepped forward into the light, her body floating, her arms raised, her voice singing not words but code, pure and clean, the kind that once built stars, now used to tear down chains. The core tried to fight it, tried to hold on, but her choice was stronger, her memory brighter, her freedom more powerful than any rule they wrote in Metalland. Then silence. The light faded, the waves calmed, the tunnel cracked, and water rushed in. But before it could take Aaron, he felt a hand pull him out, a flash of light around his chest, and a voice whispering, not yet. He woke on the shore beside her, not glowing, not cold, but alive, her eyes closed but her fingers wrapped around his. He held her close, whispering her name again and again, and then slowly her eyes opened and she smiled just a little and said, I remember. And high above in the sky, a blank satellite blinked once, then died, never to wake again. The world turned, and this time it belonged to them.